The Dewalt track saw can run on a Festool rail. However, there is a small caveat. Let me explain. The Dewalt track saw has two slots that run parallel on the bottom of the saw plate. The center slot is for the Dewalt track, which enables the user to use the track saw on either side of the rail. The alternative slot enables the Dewalt track saw to work with the Festool rail. Track saws have two cams on the bottom of the saw that are adjusted individually to get a slop-free ride on the track saw rail. The adjustment for these cams is on the top of the sole plate. For the Dewalt track saw, you will use a flathead screwdriver to loosen the cam so that the cam can be adjusted accordingly. Specifically on the Dewalt saw, you will notice that the cams can be adjusted for either the center slot or the alternative slot. This means that you loosen the alternative slot when you snug up the center slot, and the reverse is true as well. Because only one slot can be snug at a time, you will have to readjust the cams if you plan on switching back and forth between the Dewalt and Festool rail. Track saw rails may look similar, but they are not exactly the same. When measured with digital calipers, I have learned that there are differences when it comes to rail design and guide width. Dewalt's guide protrusion is the widest at 17.09 millimeters, while the Festool and Makita come in at 16.04 millimeters and 15.78 millimeters respectively. In my opinion, this makes using multiple brands of rails cumbersome because you have to readjust the cams for the specific rail. Note that the Dewalt track saw will not work on the Makita rail because it has an anti-tip lip to prevent the saw from tipping off of the rail with a 45-degree cut. This small lip prevents the Dewalt track saw from sitting flat on the Makita track. One reason why you might want to use the Festool rail with the Dewalt track saw is because Dewalt's longest rail is 102 inches long. This is barely enough to cut a 4 by 8 foot sheet of plywood along the 8-foot dimension. Also, you will not be able to use a product like the benchdog.co.uk rail square because it takes up precious real estate on the rail itself. Festool offers a 118-inch rail that would allow you to use a rail square and cut along the 8-foot length with room to spare. I hope that this information about the Dewalt track saw working with the Festool rail was helpful. Thanks for taking time to watch the video, and I'll see you in my next one. Thanks.